gentlemen, welcome back to Oops, Wrong Hole, America's premier podcast for all things. This is why it's important to have a little idea of what you want to say before you start talking, people. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. It's a great day in sunny yet breezy South Florida. I was going to record this podcast yesterday, but right before I did, I was like, you know what? I should go for a little walk. Just a little quick walk, get the energy flowing. Know what I'm saying? Get the blood pumping. And I walk out literally about 5 minutes into this walk. A random piece of dirt sent by Satan himself just flew right into my eye. Just right into the eye. Out of all the places it could have gone. It wasn't a sandstorm, people. I live in Florida. There was nothing, I don't remember even feeling the breeze. It was just a piece of dirt that made a bullseye right for my freaking cornea. And it made it. What are the odds? So it's right in my eye, but at that point, like I said, I had just begun the walk, but at the same time, I was kind of closer to the halfway mark than I was the beginning. So I didn't turn around. I just kept walking and decided to complete the walk, partially thinking in vain that I could get this thing out of my eyeball before I got home. And nope, didn't happen. The pain just got worse and worse and worse as I kept walking, which was fun because that means that about like a minute past the point where I had this thing whack me in the freaking cornea, I'm there just like rubbing my eye, just walking, looking sad as people are driving by probably going, oh my God, that boy just got dumped. Look at him, he's crying. And I'm just there like, no, I'm not crying. There's just something in my eye. Of course there is, sweetie. I've had something in my eye since my husband cheated on me too. Oh, Jesus. So now I'm crying, boy. That's the worst part. I go for a walk, okay? I go to clear my head, get hit in the eye with debris. Let's call it what it is, people. It's debris. And as I keep walking, now I'm thinking, okay, at least I'm gonna have some sort of inner pride moment. You know, not white pride. That's something else. I'm gonna have an inner pride moment. I'm gonna feel good about me because I'm gonna complete this walk despite the pain in my eye, like a freaking man, people, like a champ. But no, I'm sure what I actually ended up doing was just taking my pain on tour. As old couples looked out their window going, Eleanor!
What is it, Herbert?
Look outside. Look! It's Crying Boy.
Who?
Crying Boy, look, it's the boy who cries.
The boy who cries wolf?
No, he just cries. That's all he does.
What a pussy.
I'm just confused as to why he's crying like that. He didn't marry you.
Oh, that's it. That's it, you son of a bitch.
Oh, relax, Eleanor.
One of these days, Herbert. One of these days, I'm gonna leave you.
Oh, shush. Who you gonna leave me for, huh? There's no Tinder app for corpses.
How dare you?
God, I hope I live around people like that, you know? Romantics. I gotta tell you, people, coffee's no joke. I walked into the room with my cup of Joe, ready to record this podcast, took a sip, just one sippy sip, and it was immediately like my anus just punched in the nuclear codes. I had to run to the bathroom. This reminds me of a girl that like in middle school, I think it was, or was it? It had to be middle school, couldn't be high school, but she told me the classic ridiculous thing, girls don't poop. So you know that she took the biggest poos. And speaking of people taking poos on their lives, Harvey Weinstein's got friends now, people. I don't want to keep talking about this, but it's everywhere, and it's developing. It's almost like there's a new type of fame now. There's famous, and then there's perv famous. Got perv fame? It's the one kind of fame you don't want. Can't sell products when you're perv famous. That's right. Can't sell sneakers, can't sell bags, can't sell jackets. Lord knows nobody wants a jacket saying, I came, I saw, and I settled out of court. You know, no one's gonna buy that. It's just not, it's not inspiring. No one wants perv pumas. Nike's not gonna change its slogan to just do it against their will. McDonald's ain't gonna go with a I'm loving it despite your screams campaign. No, sir. I'm telling you, people, there's a movement happening. I feel it.
Come gather round, perverts, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Yesterday, I saw Tom DeLonge make an appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, which had me very excited. Quick recap for those of you who don't know, Tom DeLonge is the musician slash businessman who's known for bands like Blink-182 Angels and Airwaves, Boxcar Racer, and now he's mostly concentrating on running a company called To the Stars, though I believe now it's operating under the parent company of To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. And basically the whole point of the company, according to Tom, is to simultaneously entertain us while leading us to the truth about aliens and changing our world for the better through use of supposed alien technology. He says he's got government contacts, which apparently he does, because some WikiLeaks thing came out showing that he does have people he's connected to in the government. He says he's privy to some information that most of us are not. Is it true? I don't know. I don't know, people, but the point is that he was on the Joe Rogan Experience to get another interview in about the topic. And I was excited because the topic is exciting to me. And then what happened was, as the show went on, it slowly went from exciting to just hilarious for all the wrong reasons. It was just an odd, tense, really, really weird vibe that was going on during that interview. And the weird thing is, I like both of those dudes. I like Joe Rogan and I like Tom DeLonge. So seeing this awkward interview just made me kind of like, I was like, ah, man, I want to support both these guys. And at the same time, I see things that both these guys are doing that are making this really weird. On Joe's side, he was just doing everything possible to make the interview somehow be as tense and uncomfortable as it could be while still counting as technically polite. Like, there was definitely this overhanging vibe in the air of like, we're not here to laugh. We're not here to joke around, buddy. We're here for the info. And you know, you can't blame them. And they did joke, by the way. They did joke around, but it was like 3 or 4 moments, brief moments, where they allowed themselves like a quick little back and forth where Joe chuckled a little bit. But a lot of it, I felt like there was so many more moments where like Tom tried to start a little banter and Joe was just like, not we're not doing that today. And it was just, that's what I mean. It was things like that that made you just go, oh, come on, man. Throw him a bone. Throw him a bone. He wants to be friends. You can joke a little bit. You can joke. But in Joe's defense, number one, he's older than Tom, so there's no chance that he's a fan of Blink. There's none of that, like, oh man, your music was the soundtrack to my summer. Like, yeah, none of that crap. As far as Joe's concerned, he's probably looking across the table at his guest thinking, you are a musician who now is a businessman, and you decided to run a company that will focus primarily on sci-fi elements, and you want me and the world to believe that you have this top secret information that nobody else has and that you have been chosen to lead this disclosure movement. That's what you want me to believe. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That way I start buying the clothes and the backpacks and investing in your company. You ain't getting me, pal, all right? If L. Ron Hubbard and his boys couldn't get me, you sure as hell ain't getting me. He's skeptical, and I get it. It makes total sense. It makes total sense from his vantage point to be that way. Also, I mean, unfortunately, again, huge fan of Tom DeLonge, but I gotta admit that, unfortunately, if what he's saying is true, there's people high up in the government that are telling him what he can and cannot say. And unfortunately, if it is true, whatever they have allowed him to say has already reached its spoiled by date. It's already worn out its welcome. There's that feeling of like whenever there's an interview, it's not really an interview because number one, there's too much he can't answer. There's too many things that the interviewer, like Joe Rogan in this case, asks him that he can't answer. And that, again, can't blame the guy for being skeptical when 90% of what he's asking is met with either I don't know, I believe so, or I can't tell you. That's like the trifecta for what you don't want to hear when you're running a show that revolves around interviews. It's just because in the end, I mean, what is Rogan left with? He's feeling like, okay, so I gave away a spot on my show that I could have given to a specialist of some sort and handed it over to somebody who basically can't answer just about any of the questions that I ask him. But he does get to say certain things without much detail behind them to the point where I end up looking like maybe I'm pushing misinformation. That's the mindset that, gets in place in that kind of situation where you're interviewing someone about a topic that can galvanize a lot of people and see that there's a lot of it that they can't answer. Yeah, it's tricky because I'm a fan of Tom's. I'm a fan. So it also doesn't make him look good because that's what the public takes away from it. If you look at the YouTube comments on that video, there's so much of it that's just going like, he's totally nuts. This guy's on coke. This guy's on meth. This guy's on Adderall. There's a bunch of just, that's most of the comments. It's a swarm of drug and insanity accusations. And, because Tom's like he's got some facial twitches that he's doing and some tics. and stretching his jaw and stuff on the show. But listen, if what he's saying is true, not saying it is, I don't know. But if it is, you got to keep in mind that somebody in his position would be under so much stress, such a typhoon of stress on a daily basis between the government dictating what you can say, making sure you don't mess up, and at the same time looking out at the world and noticing that everybody's kind of going, you're a little crazy, and that it's just mounting and mounting, and with every week, every month, every year that passes, people just keep going, oh yeah, he's looking crazier, still hasn't really told us what he's getting at. I don't know about this guy. It's looking fishy. Starting a company around it, it's looking fishy. After all that time, in that particular set of circumstances, I think anybody would develop a few tics. I think actually it's kind of a miracle the guy's not ripping hair out of his head, chewing on his shirts. You know, like he's really stressed. He's stressed as hell. Anyway, all I'm saying is to be thoughtful about the fact that if it is true, his behavior is not, something that can only be diagnosed as a drug habit and just psychosis. Those aren't the only two options. Though, yes, Tom DeLonge has had a history of drug abuse back in, I think, like 10 years ago. And during that time, while under the influence, he did say some rather bewildering things. Yeah, granted. But, as people who trade the market would say, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. It's not insane to assume that that would be the case if he has that history, but it's also important, I think, to keep yourself open to the possibility that your biased opinion of the past might not be proven true this time. It could be, but you should be open to the idea that it might not, and not just, cancel it out. Be thoughtful, basically. Be thoughtful. Don't just jump to conclusions because an idea sounds outside of what you, A, want to hear, B, are willing to think about, and C, have been pre-wired to think. Be thoughtful. This is something that I tried to say in the YouTube comments section. That's right, people. I went down the rabbit hole. You can find that comment underneath the official video of this Tom DeLonge episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, and I typed it all out, people. I said it. I sent my thoughts into the ether. People of YouTube, be thoughtful. It was longer than that, but that's the gist of what I said. And the people in the comments section, for the most part, heard my cry. They looked at me, and they said, you! Hilarious and heartbreaking at the same time. So is the YouTube comment section. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of... Whoops! Wrong hole. This is Ramses owhpodcast. Hoping you have a great weekend, have a great night, great Halloween. And hey, if you need help figuring out that last-minute Halloween costume, why don't you stop on by the latest video I uploaded before this podcast episode. It's called Commonly Overlooked Halloween Costumes. If you're in a rut, this will help you get out of it. So get your mind pumping, get the ideas flowing, people. So you procrastinated on your costume, so what? Doesn't mean it's gotta be boring. Check out the video, have a laugh, and come up with some good ideas. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a great night. Hasta la bye-bye.